Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, Brandon here with another great business to discuss on this episode of the Real Money, Real Business podcast. Today's guest is Kevin, and he's selling his subscription box business on the Empire Flippers marketplace. So welcome to the show, Kevin, and how are you doing today?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. It's really great to have you on the call and to talk to you about this business you've created today. But before we get into the details of the business, why don't we give a general overview? So it is a subscription box business in the culinary niche created in July 2015. The average monthly revenue for the business is $118,242 and makes an average of $26,789 per month in net profit. For everyone listening, you can visit empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 54179 to learn more about this business, or you can unlock this listing to start your due diligence if you're interested in purchasing this asset. So now that I've given a general overview of the business, what's included in the sale are 4 domains, including all of the site's contents and files, an email list with over 55,000 subscribers, supplier contracts and relationships, standard operating procedures, employee contracts, and social media accounts for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest. So, Kevin, can you tell us a little bit about your background in building and running online businesses?
Sure. So I originally built a business on Amazon. That's where I kind of learned how to source and marketing and all those different aspects. From there, I was able to kind of transition into off Amazon marketplace, so just regular e-commerce. And I purchased this business about 6 years ago, and I've been working on it ever since and trying to grow it.
Okay, so you've owned the business for a little over 6 years now. How would you say that the business is primarily making money outside of just one product? So it's a subscription box product, but is there multiple tiers to the subscription, or is it all one price set for the business model?
We offer prepayments, so we offer the ability to buy more than 1 month at a time. But past that, I'd say 99% of the revenue comes straight from the box itself.
Okay. And then why choose this specific business model? Why not, say, go with like an Amazon FBA or an e-commerce side and as far as giving out physical products or selling physical products in that regard?
Sure. So I was previously on Amazon, and I kind of got a little fed up with the Amazon model. I didn't feel like I had enough control. I didn't feel like I could kind of do my own thing, so to speak. So I was looking for businesses that were available at the time, and this one had just launched. I bought it when it was maybe 6 months old. So the person who originally launched it had planned just to launch it, and then that's it. So I purchased it from them and really liked the niche. I liked the idea, and I kind of just ran with it from there.
Yeah, that's really great. And if the business is doing still so great at this time, why is it that you've decided that you would like to sell it?
I'd say it's mainly 2 reasons. One is that, running the same business for 6 years, it's a long time. I wouldn't say I've grown past it, but you can feel a little burnt out at times when you get to year 6 is how I would describe it. I kind of wanted a new adventure. I kind of wanted something new, something that piques my interest. And I actually have been looking for that for a little bit, but I finally found it about 6 months ago. So I purchased a new business that I'm going to start working on. And that's kind of led the way for me to want the capital from this business, as well as now I'm ready to let go now that I have my next project in hand.
Yeah, it's really great to hear that. And I guess kind of speaking onto that subject as far as your next project, was there anything that you learned while growing this business that you plan on applying to your other projects down the road?
Yeah, a ton. I think that part of it just happened to be the growing part of my, let's say, e-commerce journey. I've kind of I wouldn't say fully matured, but I've matured a lot from when I started. But in terms of maybe more specifics, I've learned a lot about, kind of distilling things down to their most simple aspects and not overcomplicating things, whether it's marketing or the product. And I've learned a lot about customer feedback and how to really give people what they want on a product level and things like that. I'm still no marketing expert or anything like that, but I definitely gotten some new knowledge there as well.
Yeah, it's really great that you've been able to gain that experience through growing this business, and that's always valuable. Any type of knowledge you can gain running something hands-on, right? Now, was there any software or tools that really helped you at the start of growing this business?
Not at the start. I'd say now that it's closer towards I don't want to say the end of the business, but the end of me being involved in the business, I've implemented some software and tools that have made life a lot easier and that have allowed for more possibilities. But in the beginning, to be honest, I didn't really know. I was just a small subscription box trying to, find my way, so to speak. So I didn't really use many software tools in the beginning. But now I have a lot of things in place that really help make things smooth.
Yeah, it's really great to hear that. On the flip side of that, did you have anything that you tried with this business and it just didn't give you the return that you were expecting?
Yes. I have multiple ideas on how the business could grow. I only tried one of them so far. There's like 3 really big ones, really big, almost like spin-off models that I think would work really well with this business. I tried one of them, but it was too early on. I tried it maybe only on year 2 of owning the business, and it was much smaller then, and it was, I don't know how to describe the model I had tried, but it essentially relied on things that I am not an expert on. I kind of went with the one that sounded the most interesting to me instead of the one I could execute the best. And so I didn't execute it very well. And so that made it not happen the way I wanted it to. But there are still other things that are like ripe for the picking, so to speak, on this. I just kind of went in the direction that was the hardest for me. And so at some point I had to stop it.
Yeah, I completely understand. It's something, if you don't have this specific skill set or you don't have the knowledge in already, it could be difficult to implement that into your existing business model. So I completely understand you in that regard. Now, where would you say that a majority of the traffic is coming from to the site? Is most of it coming through organic search, or are you also running some paid advertising to get traffic onto the website itself?
Sure. So the business mainly gets traffic organically. There's a blog attached to it, and it has some content that does very, very well. That being said, I do run ads as well during peak sales times, just your normal channel. So peak sales times, I run quite a bit of ads. Non-peak sales times, it's almost exclusively organic. I do also have an affiliate program that does fairly well as well.
Okay, that's amazing that you already have a few of these channels diversified as far as getting traffic into the website. But I'm curious, what else are you doing in terms of marketing? I know you do have a very large email list with over 55,000 subscribers and a few social media accounts, but can you walk us through what are some of the other marketing tactics that you're using at this time?
Sure. So to be honest, on the social media and email side, it's pretty basic. I have someone in charge of each of those, and during high peak sales times, they'll put out a few feelers. But I don't have any sort of really complex or integrated strategy on those fronts. I honestly think that's probably growth opportunities for the business more so than something that I use. That being said, a large part of what I do is it's about like when and where to focus your effort. So I don't have many other channels other than organic and paid, but it's about when I use those. That kind of matters the most. I would note on a side note that I also kind of leverage other people's audiences, not from an affiliate standpoint, but from my vendors who I work with on, month to month on my subscription box. They allow me to kind of have some freedom because they have audiences themselves a lot of times. That also plays a little bit of a role. But I'd say that just straight up organic and, the correct paid traffic, it's essentially majority of what I do.
Okay. Now, are you sending any promotional content or any type of newsletter to the email list or monetizing that in any way?
I have automated email set up. So I have a welcome automation, and then I have an automation that's sent weekly to people as like a reward for being part of the subscription. It allows them to kind of get new information and things like that. It's something that I've only implemented semi-recently, and it's something I'm still exploring, but there's a lot of possibilities there with keeping constant communication with the customer.
Okay. Kind of on the subject, since we're already here talking about some of the operations for the business, can you walk us through what are some of the typical tasks that you're performing on the business on a weekly basis at this time?
Sure. So the biggest one is to source the product. I have a large list of vendors that I use, but sourcing the best possible product is the most important. People, when they open it, they want to be intrigued by what's in there. So sourcing is by far my biggest thing. That being said, there's customer service inquiries. I do have a customer service rep in place, but if anything's too complicated, I do take care of those as well. Refunds, I take care of as well if that's ever needed. Then there's just high-level projects. Let's say this month I want to A/B test the site, or work on something else, or any of these growth paths I talked about. Kind of implementing groundwork on those projects is something I do. But that's mainly just sourcing, make operational things. So I use a 3PL, making sure that runs smoothly as well. Just little things like that. The business doesn't take a lot of time if you don't want it to. You can run it very passively, although I suggest that it's for someone who is more into it, because the more you get into it, the more you get out of it.
Yeah, very good note there. And kind of on that subject, I guess that piggybacks into my next question for you. So do you feel that there's a specific skill set that a buyer should have prior to acquiring this business, or could most of the workload be learned during the transition period?
That's a good question. I think that most of the workload could be learned. I don't think that any specific thing that I do is exceptionally technical or overly difficult to the point that someone couldn't do it. There is some, tricks and tools of the trade that you kind of learn in terms of what people are looking for and what gets people the most interested. But past that, I'd say, anyone can do this. And the biggest thing that you don't have to be an expert in the niche of the box. There are a lot of the people who are part of it, they aren't experts themselves. It's more about bringing a community aspect. It's more about being a part of it. I already have information in place that kind of teaches them, but it's about being a part of that process, and it's about, bringing something new to them than it is about you need to be an expert in this type of niche.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Now, hypothetically speaking, Kevin, if you were to keep this business, what are some of the ways that you would personally try and grow it?
I have a specific way that I think would really, really work for the business, that if given more time, if I didn't have my other project I was doing, this would be essentially the next step. And since I've had it for 6 years, I think it's fairly a good idea. It would essentially revolve around educational content. I think that a lot of the people who subscribe, you can only send so many products to someone before they don't want to buy anymore. So I don't think more products is the answer. I think educating people, I think having, educational content that's for sale is really where this business will go. And I think it allows you to connect with your customers on a level that you can't if you don't have that face-to-face contact. So it breaks down a lot of barriers. It allows you to communicate with gift giver, gift receiver, person who signs up for themselves. It doesn't matter. You get to connect with these people and you get to really show them. And I think that's really where the business will shine even more. And I think having that educational content only reinforces the regular sales as well of the physical product. So I have a whole setup of how I think that should happen, because I don't know, I can't remember when I came up with it, but I have a setup of how would be employed. I just, kind of moved on, unfortunately, to my next project about 6 months ago. But I think it's a really great growth opportunity for the business. I think it's because it's a whole nother product, and it's just going to really, really connect you with the customers and put you in a good position to gain their trust.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking at this business as well, I could definitely see the opportunity there and some educational content already in tandem with the physical products that people are getting for this box item. So yeah, really great, ultimately roadmap for the potential buyer to come in and maybe even consider. Now, on the flip side of that, Kevin, so what do you feel are maybe some of the potential risks associated with this business that a buyer should be aware of?
The business has been steady year over year for 6 years straight. I've grown every year for 6 years straight. So I don't think there's really that many risks to the business, especially because a lot of the growth has just been pure organic. We're just getting more market penetration as the years go by, whether it's because of ads or organic or whatever. I think that the way forward with the business is going to be a little bit of you have to test some things. I haven't maxed out marketing by any stretch of the imagination, but that being said, if you want real big growth, you're going to want to find new channels to find people. You're going to want to find new ways to connect. You're going to want to find new products to sell, which is why I think the educational content I had mentioned in the plan I kind of have really work. I do have some ideas on how it could be marketed as well, but I haven't tested them yet. So whether those work or not would kind of be a matter of execution and whether the idea is good. So I do think it's a great place for someone to play around with and see what works and what doesn't. That being said, if someone wants something where to grow, they just kind of do what's already being done, I don't think this is necessarily the business. And I would add one more thing, that as of recently, maybe the past 2 years, we've gotten a lot more, market penetration. Like, you'll need to test a lot of different things to see what works and what allows you to grow. If you want to just do what's already being done and it'll grow. That happens to be the case for the last 6 years, but you're not going to experience the really big growth that most people are looking for. But if you're the kind of person who wants to, try new angles and release new products and, kind of go in that direction, I think there's a ton of opportunity here. So that being said, there is some risk to just kind of sitting there and not really doing anything. I don't know how the business would perform, although I've been doing that for, I'd say, the past year or two. I don't know how the business would perform long term, kind of taking a step back. I think it's more of a business that people should really, really try to explore.
It's a really great mention as well, too. It's, always moving forward. It's something that we mention in our content as well. It's, not necessarily taking your hands off the wheel, but making sure that you're still doing what's needed to keep that audience engaged with the content. So, yeah, really great mention there. Now, Kevin, are you willing to commit to a non-compete, meaning once the deal is done, you'll stay out of this specific niche during the required time?
Yes, I would note one thing on that. In this particular niche, I do have a content site. It's unrelated. It's purely affiliate based, but like in terms of products, subscription, anything like that, I would absolutely be willing to.
Okay. And then how much support are you willing to offer potential buyers? Are you going with the typical 30 days of email and call support, or did you have something in addition that you would like to add on to that?
I would let that be determined by the new buyer. I'm more than willing to stay on longer in terms of support. And that being said, I will have some pretty definitive SOPs and things like that are available. Even I'm going to put together or have put together a 2-year growth plan, some low-hanging fruit, some longer things. Obviously, it'll be up to the new owner to decide what they want to do, but I'll have quite a bit there from the vendor list to all the reps, obviously the normal transitions and stuff as well. But I'm really going to put together a lot of content that should allow the new owner to really pick up where I left off. But that being said, 30 days for sure. Past that, I'm more than willing.
Okay. That's really great to hear that. And I'm sure our potential buyers can also see the value in that added support that you're willing to offer them and wanting to see the business continue on and succeed. So it's always great to hear that. Now, Kevin, are you open to negotiating something like an earnout where you'll receive a large portion of the sales price up front and then smaller payments closing out the deal shortly after that?
I think it would depend on the deal. I'm more than willing to entertain an earnout. So it would just kind of be based on the details.
Yeah, completely understandable. And that's always something that can be negotiated during the negotiation period. So yeah, completely understandable on that front. Now, final question for you wrapping up this call, Kevin. So putting yourself in the shoes of a buyer, why do you think that this business is worth buying?
I don't want to harp on the exact same notes I did before, but I would say it's pretty similar. I think the business has performed year over year for 6 years. It's been almost exclusively ran by me. I do have a small team in place that'll obviously come with the business as well. But in terms of starting new projects, doing anything, that really changed the business, it's all just been me. So I think someone who either has a team in place or, is ready to take on the challenges. I think that this business has a lot of potential in terms of, like I mentioned, the educational content, some slightly different business models. I think there's a lot of things you could add to it that would work so seamlessly. There's another expansion opportunity that involves Amazon that I've really fleshed out and I think works really well or would work really well. So I think there's a lot of expansion opportunities. Obviously, getting deeper and deeper into the customer base would also provide additional revenue. But I think if someone's looking for something where they can take what already exists and build essentially things that can really move the bottom line with it, this would be the business for them.
Yeah, really great mention. And it's always great to see a quality business like this come on our marketplace. And yeah, that pretty much wraps up this call. Kevin, was there anything else that you'd like to add that I might have missed?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay, perfect. Well, thanks again for jumping on. It was really awesome talking to you about this business you've been running for the last 6 years, and also looking forward to seeing this listing getting sold for you here in the near future.
Yeah, thanks, Brandon. Great talking to you.
All right, thanks again. And all right, everyone, thanks for listening. To learn more and to see if this listing has already been sold, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 54179. If you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. And once you've unlocked this listing, you'll be given everything you need to know about this business. So until next time, enjoy your digital journey.